Happy Sunday, team. It's Adam Holmes here, coming to you from Edinburgh in Scotland. Happy Sunday. Every Sunday, I take some time to share what I've been up to. And yeah, nice to see you. Hope you've had a good weekend. I just was having a nice walk around with my daughter. I was chatting to my mate yesterday, who her wee kid came over for a sleepover. And we've just been catching up with some friends and going for some food, and it's been really nice. And yeah, she was talking about going on holiday with her little one, right? Which I'm not a big holiday guy. As anyone who knows me will know that I love creating stuff. I love making stuff. I love working. And I'm lucky enough to be a person who, I do what I want to do for a job. Now, within that, obviously, is there stuff that I'd rather not do? Of course. But I'm very fortunate in that I've managed to build a life of creative fulfillment and financial freedom and all those good things. And so every Sunday I take a little bit of time just to share some lessons from the week. And the thing I was thinking about was just enjoying where you come from. Like, I live in Edinburgh. It's a beautiful, beautiful city. And my friend, we went for dinner, and my friend was talking about how I'm just letting the people in my club know that I am live now, Sunday catch up. If you're not in my club and you want to join, comment club or click the link in the top comment, come and join us. And yeah, my friend was saying, like, it's really important to go for trips. And that's true. I did a lot of traveling in my early 20s, and it for sure gave me a lot of perspective on life, perspective on the world. I played in a band called Rura, and we did loads of gigs all over the place. I was lucky. I got to go to Italy and Austria, and I was over in Australia, America. Did a lot of traveling. These days I do less because like I say, my daughter is 7, and I really just want to be around for her and appreciate that time. And my friend was talking about how, going on trips is really important. And it got me thinking about how we schedule so much stuff in our lives, We have so much stuff going on in our lives. And once we have kids, often we put this on our kids as well. There's clubs and there's activities, and look, I think it's cool. It's great. And also, are we carving out space and time to just be in the simplicity of where we are and the simplicity of the moment? And just this morning, I went with Rosa, my daughter, and we just walked all over Edinburgh. Just lovely. Just so nice to be in our little area, not really going anywhere and just being in a little few mile radius. And I think Sundays are good for that. It's a nice thing. But what also got me thinking about was my impulse today was like, Rosa's having a little clear out of her room. So I gave her a black bag, like a garbage bag, a bin bag. And she's in her room just putting stuff into like this bag, just clearing out the room and making space for other stuff to come in. And in order for us to receive the greatest gifts in life, the magical, most mysterious, interesting gifts in life, we've got to make space. So in today's episode of the Sunday Catch-Up, I'm going to be sharing some perspectives with you. And my hope is that you're going to be able to turn them into your own version of spaciousness, create a little bit of space for the week ahead, and give yourself permission to think about those things that really bring you joy, that bring you fulfillment. I was raised Quaker. Not everyone knows this. I was raised Quaker, and one of the best things about Quakerism, I don't know if you guys know much about it, it's not your average quote unquote religion, right? It's more like a kind of community. And people go every Sunday and they take an hour every Sunday to hang out, be together, and actually sit in silence. That's what you do in a Quaker meeting. You just sit in silence. There's no real structure. It's not like a mass where there's a kind of structure. But you come together once a week and you share silence. And then if anyone feels like they have anything that they want to say, they'll stand up and they'll say their piece. And it could be like, for example, someone might say, I'm really struggling right now to be patient with my kid, you know? And then there'll be more silence. Everyone's sitting, sharing space. And eventually someone will stand up and maybe say, well, when I was struggling, here's something that helped me, or here's what there's a book, it's called the Book of Faith and Practice. And it's a book that the Quakers use. It's got ideas, it's got concepts that can help you. It's essentially philosophies on life. But that kind of space to reflect every Sunday is something that left a big imprint on me. And it's kind of interesting. It's almost like a clear out once a week, emotionally and in terms of your thoughts, that you would take 1 hour each week to sit in silence and see what comes up for you. I don't go to Quaker meeting anymore. However, what I do every day is I take 15 minutes of silence every morning. I also take 15 minutes of silence every evening. So I guess across a week, that's a few hours, right, of quiet time to reflect, to think about what is it that I've done well, what is it that I've not done well, what is it that I've achieved, what is it that I've failed at, what is it that I want to set as my intention. And it's really just a way of living more intentionally. But when you think about what living intentionally means, well, there's so many demands out there, isn't there? So many people have demands on your time and your energy, your resources, your thoughts, your feelings. Think about like the news, for example. The news wants to create certain feelings in you in order to move you in particular directions for its own benefit, right? So the amount of mental clutter that creates is significant. And as you go through your week and through your month and your year and ultimately your life, what you'll find is you're collecting these kind of concepts, you're collecting these ideas, you're collecting these impressions. And over time, they start to gnaw and niggle at your energy, right? They start to detract from your energy. They start to detract from your mission. And the lie that so many of us have been sold, unfortunately, is that complication is what makes life meaningful. The biggest lesson I learned from Quakerism as a concept, and it was interesting because I came from a background where there was a lot of violence, there was, abuse, there was a lot of problems in my childhood that I feel lucky that I had Quakerism as an example of the alternative, as an example of how to be emotionally regulated and peaceful and calm. And without that, maybe I wouldn't be the person I am. But the overarching lesson that it gave me and the principle that it gave me is one of a kind of emotional and spiritual adventurousness, and also combining that with a simple life. What do I mean by simple life? I am a person, and you might resonate with this, I don't know, maybe you won't. Probably if you've made it this far into today's talk, you will. I'm a person who I enjoy luxury, right? I enjoy experiencing luxurious circumstances, things, situations. I wear a Rolex every day. I love going to fancy hotels and drinking tea and cream. I like to live in a nice place, you know? And also, I'm the kind of person who will sit and eat mackerel out the packet and do push-ups rather than going to the gym. And I'm just as happy buying clothes from a charity shop as I am going to Ralph Lauren and buying the latest kind of, you know, beautiful fancy clothes. But I enjoy that too. I enjoy it all. I enjoy both. Because for me, success and the journey of success, as in, let me quantify that, right? I came from no money. We never had any money. I now have more money than I know what to do with. And I have more success than I know what to do with. My shows sell out. Lots of people want to work with me on creating albums. You know, I have an infinite ocean of opportunity at all times. And I've created that, and I'm proud of myself for creating that. And I love success. I find it fun. I find it enjoyable. But I find it enjoyable from a perspective of, can I use it to evolve my soul? Can I become a better person? I believe success and money are an amplifier, like something like alcohol, right? If someone's not a good person and you give them alcohol, they're going to be a worse person. Someone's a happy, friendly person and they have a drink, usually they're more happy and friendly. Money and success and power and fame are similar. If you're regulated and a decent person at your core, you're just going to use it to create more good. So I like to use my success to give an example. One of my favorite things to do is to lift other people up who are, I recognize maybe something in them that I've been where they are. And I can recognize that they have a tremendous amount of potential. And for me, there's nothing more gratifying and enjoyable than helping someone fulfill and reach their potential. That's so much of what the supporter circle is about. It's just me distilling those lessons and my journey to be an example, to inspire, to uplift people, right? Similarly, discipline. You know, I think discipline is beautiful. I think being able to push yourself beyond the limits of what you've previously been capable of and overcoming challenges and growing and becoming the person who's deserving of the result that you want to create, I think is just the most incredible, beautiful, fun way to live. I love it. And also, if I can wake up in the morning and I don't care what I'm wearing, I don't care where I am, if I can wake up in the morning and just drink a coffee and look out the window, work on some music and go for a walk, my life doesn't get any better than that. It never gets any better than that. So to me, that's the most fun, is to have success, to have power, to have control, but not to necessarily need it. So one thing that going through losing a lot of people in my life taught me, like I lost, you know, my dad, I lost a couple of really close friends, I lost my first girlfriend, took her own life, and that really taught me you can't control anything. No matter, you know, there's no amount of success that you can create in your life or stability that you can create in your life that is going to stop you from experiencing the pain of just being a human, of being born. I was at my daughter's birth and it was like, I was just chatting to my friend about this the other day because he was at his kid's birth as well. And we were saying it is the craziest thing ever to just, you know, it's that for me, it was the same space as when I watched my dad pass away in front of me. I remember I saw his last breath. Now I saw my daughter's first breath. Same space. It was like the same porthole of energy. You know, it was like something real, something truly, truly real, you know? And what that teaches you is that, you know, do you think in those moments it matters what you've got in your bank account, or are you wearing a suit, or are you a respected businessman, or none of that matters. It doesn't matter, because you're just in the wild chaos of human life. Now, most people find, you know, they'll have a moment in their life, someone dies, an accident, something happens, and then they find that kind of awareness. But really what I want to offer you above all else today, and the purpose of today's video and the thoughts I'm sharing and the concepts I'm sharing, is I want to invite you to build in space into your life so you can have those awarenesses ahead of time and reflect on them ahead of time. I talk a lot about death. I talk a lot about impermanence. And often I'll have people say to me, that's depressing. Why'd you talk about that? And for me, it's the opposite. I don't find it depressing to think about the fact that we're all going to die. I find it very freeing, and I find it almost comforting, honestly, because all of those problems, all of those perceived issues that you have, you know, we're all headed for the same place. We're all going to the same place. And when you frame it like that, there's no amount of success, there's no amount of stability, there's no amount of marriage or financial structures or mortgages or anything that's going to prevent that. So why is it worth thinking like that? Well, in my opinion, it's worth thinking like that because what do you really want to do with your life? What do you really want your life to mean? Now, for me, I want my life to be an example. I want people who came from certain backgrounds where they've not had an advantage to be able to look at me and say, okay, well, he did it, I can do it too. Like my brother, Colin, did a bunch of therapy, and like I asked him, I said to him, how did you find regulation? How do you have a family? How do you have money? How do you have a good life? And he said to me, what worked for me is I went to cognitive behavioral therapy. So if I hadn't had his example, I wouldn't be where I am today. So I want my life to be that example to as many people as possible. And that's my mission. And I want to do that through my music, and I want to do that through talking to you guys, and I want to do that through just sharing my story and making content and being brave and putting myself out there. But the main point I'm really making today, above all, is uncovering your own personal mission and your own true sense of success. Because look, we're in the physical realm. You need a certain amount of financial success. You need to know what that is for you. You need to have a number. I know what my number is to live the life I want to live. And what I mean by that is, like, I know where I want to live. I know how I want to eat. I know how I want to work out. I know how I want to travel. I know how I want to move through the world and get things done and work with people. And I know what my numbers are for that, and I'm very intentional about that. But I also know that anything above and beyond that is not making me happier. There's a false idea that money doesn't make you happy. A certain amount of financial stability and financial freedom definitely does. There's studies that have been done on this. It was something like 70, 80,000, everything up to that point makes you happier, and then beyond there, it doesn't, you know? But I would encourage everyone watching this video to get to that level, you know? Get to that level, because Those little quiet things that you say to yourself, it's okay, it's all right, I don't mind. Why? There's no need, you know? You can embrace a new level of evolvement in order to pursue the financial and physical and material things in life that can get you to the next level. And there's absolutely no harm in that. It's good. You grow, you become a better person, you give more value, you learn more stuff about yourself. If you ever want to know more about yourself, start a business. That's what I would say. But beyond a certain level, right? You know, a jacket keeps you warm. If you're thirsty, a glass of water satisfies you. If you're hungry, some beans and some tuna for £1 is like, you know, it doesn't get any better, right? It doesn't get any better. So I suppose more than anything, I just wanted today to do my best to speak to both sides, you know? The side of excitement and building and growth and learning, and also the side of simplicity, reflection, appreciation, acknowledgement, just cultivating that sense of enoughness. And really when you create from a sense of being enough and having enough, it's a lot of fun. That's a really beautiful place to get to. And I wish all of you guys that feeling. I wish all of you guys the best. I wish all of you guys to find your own version of success too. Thanks for being with me. I hope you enjoyed today's Sunday catch-up. My name's Adam Holmes. Thanks for being with me and have an amazing rest of your Sunday. I'm going to go and chill out. Might come on and sing a few songs later on. If you enjoy my vibe and you want to support me, support my family, and get access to my best content, our monthly live streams and all the good stuff that most people don't get, come and join my club. The club is called the Supporters Circle. But if you comment on this video, club, if you're watching on Facebook or Instagram, I'll send you a link to come and join us today. If you're watching on YouTube, you can click the link in the top comment. Also, I work with a very select few on making albums. I'm a master producer, high-level co-collaborator. So if you're looking for someone to go on an adventure with and make an album, I'd love to talk with you. Let's have a free initial call to see if it's a good fit. You can apply by visiting my website or clicking the link in the top comment. You guys have a lovely Sunday. Thanks for being here. I'll catch up with you soon.